and thank you for joining me on the show today. This is the Now Talks, a collection of inspiring personal stories and leadership lessons from some of the world's most iconic leaders. It is the weekly podcast for women in leadership, brought to you by Nations of Women. My name is Dr. Tina Allton, and I'm your host for today and the coming weeks. Welcome again to another weekend edition of the Now Woman Talks, which really is the podcast for every woman in leadership. And it's the place where we explore topics and have conversations that empower you to thrive in your personal and professional life as a woman and as a leader. Today, we're going to delve into a very profound statement that I came across while I was reading a book. And then I've seen it around and, on t-shirts, etc. And the statement is, I am enough. And this saying really encapsulates, that journey of self-discovery, discovering who you are, being accepted for who you've been created to be, and the realization of our inherent worth, that we are precious, precious, precious women. And so I hope you will join me to unpack the various layers in the meaning or of the meaning behind this empowering mantra, if you want to call it that way. So grab your tea, grab your coffee, grab your water, whatever it is you need. Or maybe you're going out to walk the dog, or going out for a walk, or a run, or a jog, whatever. It doesn't matter. I hope that you can delve in with me. So, first of all, let's try and break down what really is the definition or meaning of I am enough. What does it mean to say that or to think that? So, to truly understand the depth of I am enough, I think it's important that we first grasp its core message. And at its very essence, the statement challenges the pervasive notion of inadequacy, right? Let me say that again. To truly understand the depth of the saying, I am enough, we have to grasp its core message. And at its essence, the statement challenges the pervasive notion of inadequacy that many of us grapple with. It's a declaration of self-worth, reminding us that we're inherently valuable and deserving of love, of respect, of acceptance, just as we are. The word enough signifies completeness, wholeness, satisfaction, independence, or maybe external independence of external validations, I think is the best way to put it. So why do we often think that we're not enough when there is a God way bigger, bigger, bigger than us that created us and sees us as enough, sees us as complete, sees us as whole, is perfectly pleased with us. So why do we grapple with these thoughts that there is some inadequacies in us? Now, saying this doesn't mean we don't have to develop our character or our attitude or grow our mindset. It doesn't mean all of those things. But inherently, what I mean is the sense of gap, that there is something missing, there's something broken. So I want you to think about this thought. I am enough, I believe, starts with actually recognizing, you know what, it's enough. Enough of what you're asking, enough of the expectations that may be placed on you culturally that perhaps makes you feel inadequate as a woman. The expectation that you have to be perhaps superwoman, you have to have it all, that makes you feel that you're inadequate because we can't really have it all. There are times in life where something, takes more precedent or takes more attention. For example, if you have a child that is sick or a family member that's sick or a spouse that's not well, for example, that would, be at the forefront. So a challenge I'm throwing for you, for any of you, my sisters, my friends, that is grappling with the thoughts that you are inadequate in some way, that you're not enough in some way, that you're broken in some way, that there's something missing in some way. Take a moment and sit down and reflect on the word I am enough. What does that mean to you personally? What does that mean to you? And a practical tip for you to to take any time that thought or feeling or whatever it is that makes you feel that you're not enough, that you're inadequate, that you're not whole, you're broken, or you're not complete, is sit down and look inside. What are the qualities and experiences that makes you unique? Because you're uniquely, wonderfully, beautifully made. We're each fearfully and wonderfully, uniquely made. So when you have the sense of inadequate, that you're not enough, sit with yourself for a moment and look inside and write down what are the qualities or maybe even the experiences that make you uniquely you. Write these down, maybe 3 things, and appreciate them. Thank God for putting those unique pieces in you. Write those down. What are they? Next, we have to look at the journey to self-acceptance. For many, 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 many women that I've come across or had the privilege of engaging with, for many of these women, embracing the belief that I am enough is a journey marked by discovering who you are, coming into your identity, your real God-given identity, not your identity in work or your spouse or your bank account, as in who are you? Who were you created as? Who are you created as? So for many, embracing the belief that I'm enough is a journey marked by self-discovery and growth. It does require that you grow. It requires us to confront that inner critic, challenging sometimes even societal norms, and letting go of unrealistic expectations. And through introspection and self reflection, we can begin to recognize our strengths. We can begin to recognize perhaps the areas in our lives that needs growth, that needs working on. So acknowledging our flaws and cultivating an attitude that does not, cast ourselves down as less than, but that attitude and the mindset that we're fearfully and wonderfully made. Now, that journey is not going to be the same or look the same or linear. It's not going to be the same for everybody. Not even people in the same culture. It's going to be different for everybody. And it can often be filled with setbacks and as well as breakthroughs. But each step on that journey of becoming our truest self, the journey into our true identity of who we have been created to be, brings us closer to embracing that inherent enoughness. So, here is a challenge. When you meet somebody that, um, or let's look at it this way. When was the last time you showed compassion to somebody? And that may look very different. Now turn it around and ask yourself, are you compassionate to yourself? Do you give yourself grace? Or do you beat yourself up when you make a mistake? Because I know that no matter how much a mess we make in our lives, that God doesn't beat us on the head and doesn't, you know, cast us off. But his compassion and his love keeps chasing us. And we have to be kind to ourselves. And that same compassion or understanding you'd offer to a friend when facing a challenge. Perhaps maybe it's time you gave that to yourself. So practically, what does that look like? Create a routine, all right? Create a plan that helps you to prioritize in the sense of being kind to yourself, being compassionate to yourself, giving yourself grace, not speaking, you know, anything over yourself as in you're silly, you don't speak ill. Don't speak death, speak life over yourself. And the very art and act of speaking life over ourselves, forgiving ourselves, is how we show compassion to ourselves. It's one of the ways. So look at how can you bring joy back into your heart or your soul or your mind. And by the way, your joy is your job. So whether it's taking a walk in nature or you're just being quiet in your spirit, in your soul, sitting down, quieting yourself. Maybe you're meditating. Maybe just indulging in a favorite hobby. It doesn't matter what it is. Remember to be compassionate to yourself. The third part of, the journey to I am enough is learning to overcome external influences. In a world that often equates worth, how much we're worth or our worth to achievement, to possessions or appearances, it can be challenging to internalize the belief that we're inherently enough. From social media to advertising, we're bombarded with messages that fuel comparison, perpetuate feelings of inadequacy. However, by shifting your focus inward and redefining your own measures of success, you can claim your sense of enoughness. It's about valuing the authentic you over perfection and over prioritizing the inner fulfillment over external validation. You don't need people to validate who you are. You have to just take a look at your thumbprint. And there it is. You're uniquely you. God created you as a unique you. And you don't need external influences. You don't need external people to tell you you're enough. You just have to know that you are enough. So, here is a big challenge for you. If you struggle with, the external influences, external validation or social media, telling you, making you feel that you're enough, here is the challenge for you. Making you feel that you're not enough or inadequate, here is a challenge for you. And the challenge is practice social media literacy by critically evaluating the messages and images you consume and how they impact your self perception. Look at what it is that you're consuming. What messages, what images are you consuming? And how is it impacting the perception you hold of yourself, or maybe your self esteem or your self confidence? How is it impacting you? Practically, limit your exposure to social media or curate your feed to include content that uplifts and inspires you rather than things that trigger feelings of you comparing yourself to people, comparing yourself to other people, comparing even your nose or your lips or your eyelids or your nails. It's absolutely unhealthy. So overcome external influences, and a practical way to do that is limit your social media. Limit how much you're exposing yourself to social media and how much it makes you compare yourself to other people, because you don't want to compare yourself to anyone. Comparison is the biggest thief of dreams, of destinies, of purpose, and joy, and your sense of worth. Cultivate self compassion. The central to the journey of I am enough is the practice of self compassion. This involves treating yourself with kindness, understanding, and acceptance, especially in moments where you're struggling or moments where you have self doubt. So rather than berating yourself for your perceived shortcomings, we learn to extend the same empathy and compassion we would offer to a friend. Through self compassion, we can nurture a deeper sense of connection with ourselves and foster resilience in the face of challenges. So, your challenge for this week is how to practice compassionate self talk by replacing self criticism with words of encouragement and support. And by the way, a good book I can recommend is Stop Self Sabotage by my dear friend Pat Pearson. We also have the full course on our website, how to stop self sabotage. And this is brilliant. It would help you to learn how to replace that negative self criticism. You know, the words that we use to criticize ourselves, the words that we use to speak death over ourselves, and teach you how to now begin to speak life over yourself and begin to use words that encourages and boosts who you are, the unique person that you were created to be. Practically start a self-compassion journey where you write down moments of self-kindness and reflect on how these make you feel. Number 5, embracing authenticity. At its core, I am enough invites you. I am enough invites you to embrace your authenticity and live from a place of truth and vulnerability. It's about letting go of the masks and the pretenses and then showing up as our genuine selves. Yes, flaws, warts, and all. When we embrace our authenticity, we invite deeper connections with others and create a space for genuine acceptance and belonging. It's through this authenticity that we fully embody the truth that we are indeed enough. So, the next time you think I'm enough, think it starts with enough. Enough of showing up with a mask, enough of being unkind to yourself, enough of what you call it, being influenced by external influences, enough of the self comparison, enough of the thinking that you're not enough. It really does start with enough. So, how can you embrace authenticity? How can you truly say enough, that I am enough? Practice being vulnerable by sharing the authentic self with someone you trust, whether it's expressing your feelings or sharing a personal story. Go for it. How are you going to do that practically? Surround yourself with supportive individuals who accept you for who you are and encourage you to be your truest, authentic self. And my friends, that is something that I'm so proud to say we do so well here at Nations of Women. When you come into our tribe, you don't have to fit in, because fitting in means adjusting, changing something in order to fit in. But when you come into our Nations of Women, Now Woman community, you already belong. So, how are you going to practically turn that on its head? Here's your invitation to join our Now Woman community. So, some takeouts for us: embracing the belief that I am enough means that daily we affirm the worth that we carry as women, as leaders, and as God's children. And that comes by practicing gratitude for the unique qualities that you possess. Embarking on a journey of self discovery and growth requires that you confront that inner critic and you cultivate a better image of yourself. And that would only come through introspection and reflection and actually digging deep and looking really deep down inside. Overcome external influences by redefining your measures of success and valuing authenticity over external validation. You must cultivate self compassion, and that requires you treat yourself with kindness, understanding, and foster resilience, especially when you're faced with challenges. You've got to be resilient. Finally, embrace the authenticity of who you are and live from a place of truth and vulnerability. Invite deeper connections and genuine acceptance. When we lie to ourselves, we're not going to be able to be honest with other people. So to be truly enough, to truly know, feel, believe, and accept that you're enough requires that you are absolutely honest with yourself. And these are just a few steps, few tips in helping you on that journey to being honest with yourself so that you can then be fully able to put behind you the mask, the what they call it. Yeah, the mask that, people would so often put up and show up completely different to who they are. It would now embolden you to step out fully as the woman and the leader that you're meant to be. So remember, you are enough just as you are. Until next time, embrace your worth, shine, and remember that you are meant to shine. All of us, you are enough uniquely as you are. So stay put, keep your stance, and remember, you are enough. Thanks for tuning in. And that's all for this week. You've been listening to Dr. Tina Allton with the Now Talks, the weekly podcast for women in leadership, brought to you by Nations of Women. All that remains is for me to say have a fantastic week, stay safe, and reach out if you need any help now at nationsofwomen.com. Until next time, enjoy the pursuit of your potential, and remember, now is your time.